Hi friends, welcome to practice. So today we will be working towards an optional arm balance, and that is crow pose Bakasana. There will of course be other options, so if you don't want to balance on your hands today, if you're working with a wrist injury or a shoulder injury, no problem. But in order to work towards crow pose, we will be strengthening the upper body, kind of working on that low push-up position, chaturanga, bent elbows. We'll also be opening the hips and learning to engage the inner thighs. So I recommend having 2 blocks for class, and we're going to get started lying on our backs. We'll begin in Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of feet together, knees apart. I'm going to slide a block underneath each thigh for a little bit of support. If you'd like to do that as well, go ahead and do so. And then start to walk your hands back. Recline all the way down onto your back. And rest your arms in whatever way is comfortable. If it's comfortable to rest your hands on your torso, either the belly or one hand on the belly, one on the chest with palms down, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, out to the side. Allow your eyes to close or soften, whatever feels best in this moment. And together, let's invite a slow, deep breath in through the nose. Fill up the belly with air. Let it inflate like a balloon. And take an open mouth, clearing breath. Again, invite a slow, deep breath in. Balloon the belly with air. Let it expand. Open mouth, exhale or sigh. Let it go. And now start to find a steady breath in and out of the nose if possible. Start to notice how it feels to breathe in. Maybe you're able to breathe down into the belly. Start to notice how it feels to breathe out. Maybe you feel the belly gently soften back in towards center. So can you start to bring your attention onto the breath, noticing how it feels to breathe into your body in this moment, so that we're feeling more and thinking less. Begin to send the breath downwards so that we can ground the energy before we invite the movement back in. That way there's this balance of being grounded and energized. And take just about 2 or 3 more breaths here. Even inhales, even exhales. Long, slow, smooth, and nourishing breaths. One more deep breath in. As you exhale, allow your eyes to flutter open. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. A little rock and roll left and right if it feels nice, massaging out the low back. And now from here, you'll keep your legs in towards your chest. Keep your feet together, but then separate your knees to about shoulder width apart. Try to drop your heels towards your hips, and then interlace your fingers behind your head. Pin your elbows in and feel how when you do that, your rib cage kind of hugs in, and then see if you can actually flatten your low back to the mat here. So that's not the natural curve of your spine, but for the sake of what we're doing, I'd like you to draw the front ribs in, lift the pubic bone, and actually flatten your low back to the mat or get close to that. Curl your head, your shoulders, your upper back off the mat. Support the neck by holding the head, but keep the back of the neck long. Look up, not towards your toes. And then as you inhale, flex your toes towards your face. Stay to exhale. Inhale, extend the legs forward. Your legs will come together. Notice my legs are more at a diagonal. I'm not going super low to the floor. And then exhale, bring your knees in towards your armpits. Your knees will separate. Drop your heels towards your hips. Again, inhale, push the legs forward. Legs come together. Don't have to be super low. Exhale, bring your knees into your armpits. Drop your heels to your hips. Inhale, send the legs forward. Imagine you were moving a weight forward in front of you. Exhale, knees to the armpits. So we're building our own resistance. 2 more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Faster does not mean better. Inhale, legs forward. Exhale, knees to your armpits, heels to hips. Pause. Feel free to stay here. Support the head and the neck if that makes sense. Or reach your arms up. Palms face forward, arms shoulder width apart, curl up a little higher. Let's keep going. Inhale, legs push forward. Exhale, knees to armpits. Can you actually touch your arms? Inhale, legs forward. Exhale, knees to armpits. I am shaking. Keep going. Inhale, legs forward. Exhale, knees to armpits. Keep the back of the neck long. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, and now hold. Bring your knees as close to your armpits as you can. Drop your heels to your hips. Curl up a little higher for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lay down. Give yourself a squeeze. And guess what? You just did crow pose on your back. Bring your hands behind your thighs. Rock and roll up and down the length of your mat. Get a little momentum. Cross your ankles, roll over your feet, make your way into a tabletop position. You can move your blocks to the side. Stack your shoulders over your wrist, hips over your knees, and just take a few cat-cows. As you inhale, arch the spine, draw the heart forward and up. Exhale, reverse, round the spine. Again, inhale, arch, open the front body, let your tailbone curl up, the belly relax. Exhale, open the back body, tailbone to the heels. Again, inhale, exhale. Breath first. Breath leads the movements. 1 more round. And then make your way back towards center. Walk your hands forward about 2 to 3 inches. Make sure your hands are shoulder width apart. Make sure your wrist creases are parallel to the top of the mat. Press down through your thumb and index finger. Spin the inner arms forward and wrap your outer upper arms in. Tuck your toes under, and now hover your knees 1 inch off the mat. Push the floor away from you so your arms are straight, shoulders spread across the back. Lift the pubic bone up towards the navel. Try to get out of the back bend. Heart forward. Take 1 more inhale here. Exhale, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Glance back at your feet. Make sure they're about hip bone apart with your inner heels hidden behind you. Press down through every knuckle, every fingertip. Send your hips high up towards the ceiling behind you. And then take a little bend in your knees. And as you bend your knees, now can you press your chest to your thighs? Do that as you soften the front ribs in. Can you push the floor away from you? Send your hips higher. And then if you're able to keep this length in your spine, start to straighten your legs any amount, lower the heels. As soon as you feel the low back rounding, you've gone a little too far. Step your feet a little closer to each other. Inhale, raise the right leg up. Bend your knee, open up your hip. Lift the right inner knee to the sky. Squeeze your left hip back in space. Straighten the legs, square off the hips. Take an inhale. Exhale, bring your knee into your nose. Lift it as high as you can. And now keep shoulders over the wrist. Inhale, 3-legged plank. Extend the right leg back. If you need to lower the left knee, go for it. Exhale, right knee to the chest. Inhale, push right leg back. Last time, exhale, knee to the chest. Lift and lift. Step your right foot forward. Get toes in line with fingers. Gently drop your back knee to the mat. Sweep your arms forward and up, low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Let your elbows splay out wide. And then inhale, lift your heart higher. Let your elbows splay out. Maybe lift the gaze, open the front body, take an inhale. Exhale, elbows pin in, chin to chest, round the spine, open the back body. Again, inhale, lift and open. Exhale, round in. Inhale, lift and open. Elbows out wide, heart lifts, and then keep the interlace. Press your palms up towards the ceiling. Try to press the thumb side of your hand up. Last breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift the back knee, peel your right arm to the sky, twist. Ground through the front heels, you bend the front leg, push the left thigh up. Spin your top ribs back, bottom ribs forward. 1 more inhale. Bring your top hand down, crawl inside your right foot, turn your toes to face the long edge of your mat. Turn your toes out a little bit, find that external rotation, rock forward, hips over your heels, take an inhale. Exhale, bend your left knee. It's a side lunge, hips go back, your heart goes forward, take an inhale. Exhale, come to center. Bend your right knee, side lunge, hips back, heart forward, belly lifts. Turn to frame your right foot, runner's lunge, breathe in, and exhale, step your left foot forward. Fold over your legs. Bring your feet hip bone apart. Bend your knees and let your head drop. You might grab your elbows, a little sway, maybe a little movement if it feels nice. Release your elbows, but keep a bend in your knees. Roll up vertebrae by vertebrae until your chin is the last thing to lift. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, twist to the right, reach your left arm forward, right arm back. Now spin the right outer hip forward. Can you keep your hips square to the top of the mat? Do that as you spin the right ribs back, left ribs forward, so the rotation comes from the upper back. And then from here, sweep your right arm forward, cross right arm over the left. Either give yourself a big hug or find your eagle arms. Lift your elbows as you breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees, come through a chair pose. Press your shins back, get the weight in the heels and the hips. Lengthen the tailbone back, go up with your heart. One more breath in. And exhale, release, fold. Inhale, chest forward, shoulders slide back. Plant your hands, step your left leg back, right leg back, downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, drop to your knees. Lower your forearms to the mat. Make sure your elbows are no wider than shoulder width apart. And now take your pelvis and rock it backwards. So your tailbone lengthens towards the backs of your knees. Your pubic bone lifts up towards the navel. And now we're going to try to keep that. Step your feet back. Plank on the forearms. You can do this with knees up or drop to your knees. And you're still working on the pelvis rocking backwards. So either way, press down through your palms, your forearms, your elbows. Push the floor away from you. Lift up and out of your shoulders. Again, lift the pubic bone up towards the navel. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's so important. That will strengthen your front body and support the back body. Now, if your knees are up, your legs are straight, can you really straighten your legs? Press your thigh bones up. Do that as you drop tailbone to the heels. Reach the chest forward. Push the heels back. Keep the gaze slightly down so the back of the neck is long. We're almost there. I'm timing us for a minute. Might feel like the most endless minute in the world. Push the floor away from you. One more full breath in. Exhale, lower down. Point your toes. Slide your hands back by your low ribs. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift your head, your chest, your shoulders. Maybe hover your hands, make them as light as possible. Exhale, lower down. Let's just pulse through that. Inhale, peel open your chest. Maybe hover the hands. Exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale, lift. Stay as you exhale. Squeeze your elbows in. That's going to roll the shoulders back. Press down through every toenail, and now keep your chest up. Lower your hands, stack elbows over the wrist, option to stick with baby cobra, or inhale, upward facing. Thighs lift, shoulders back, take a breath in. Downward facing dog as you exhale, hips up and back. Long breath in, long breath out. Step your feet a little closer, raise your left leg up. Bend your knee, open up your hip. Lift the left inner knee to the sky. Can you press into your left hand a little more? Straighten the legs, square off the hips, take an inhale. Exhale, knee to your nose. Lift it as high as you can, and now keep your shoulders over the wrist. Extend the left leg back, three-legged plank. Exhale, knee to the chest. Inhale, push it back. Exhale, knee to your chest. Lift, and step your left foot forward. Toes in line with fingers, drop the back knee. Inhale, reach your arms up, low lunge. Stay to exhale, root down through your front heel. Interlace fingers behind the head. Do whichever way feels a little funny, opposite interlace. And now lift the chest. Let your elbows splay out wide, even let your ribs flare out. Lift the gaze maybe, take a breath in. Exhale, reverse around the spine. So think of this similar to cat-cows. Inhale, lift and open. Exhale, round, just move with your breath. Final time. Inhale, lift and open. Keep the interlace, press the palms up towards the ceiling, full breath in. Exhale, release. Tuck your back toes. Lift the back knee, twist. Reach your left arm to the sky. Keep bending the front leg. Push the right thigh up. Rotate your top ribs back, bottom ribs forward. One more inhale. Top hand down, crawl inside your front foot. Turn all your toes to face the long edge of your mat. And then rotate your toes out a little bit, left and right. Find that external rotation. Take an inhale. Exhale, bend your right knee, side lunge. That knee is over the center of the foot. Hands could stay down, or maybe no hands, maybe they come to heart center. Come to center, other side. Bend your left leg, hips back, heart forward. Inhale. Turn to frame your left foot, runner's lunge as you breathe in. Step to the top of your mat, exhale, fold. Feet about hip bone apart. Bend your knees, let your head drop. Relax your elbows. Maybe a little sway. Keep a bend in your knees, roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, no rush. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, twist to the left, right arm forward, left arm back. Spin your left outer hip forward. Spin the left ribs back. Find the rotation in the upper back, not the hips. And then swim your left arm forward, cross left arm over the right. Either give yourself a hug or find your eagle arms. Take a breath in, elbows lift. Exhale, bend your knees. Press your shins back. Spin your inner thighs back as you firm the outer hips in. One more breath in. And then just sweep your arms back, fold forward. Inhale, chest forward. Plant your hands, step the right leg back. Left leg back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Drop to your knees. Lower your forearms. One more plank on the forearms. If you've been practicing with me for a little while, you know this is one of my favorite poses. Take your pelvis and rock it backwards. Well, it's really like a love-hate relationship because I know it's good for me, but I don't always enjoy it. Lift your frontal hip bones up towards the front ribs. And then from here, step your feet back to start. Plug into the ground with your big toe mounds. And if you decide it makes sense to drop to your knees, that's no problem. It's still so much work. Push the floor away from you. Lift up and out of your shoulders. Feel your shoulders spread across the back. Lift your pubic bone up and in towards the navel and lengthen your tailbone to the heels. The pelvis rocks backwards, just like it does when we do cat pose. No trace of a back bend in the lower body. But we're not rounding the upper body. Use your fingertips now to reach the chest forward so much you might even feel your knuckles lift off the mat like little cat hands. Front body like a tray supporting your back body. If your knees are lifted, press your thigh bones up, straighten the legs. Do that as you direct the tailbone to the heels. Get longer from the crown of your head to your heels. Last breath in. Exhale, lower down. Nice work. Point your toes. Slide your hands back by your low ribs. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift your head, your chest, maybe your hands. Exhale, lower down. Again, inhale, peel open. Make your hands as light as possible. Exhale, let it go. Final time, inhale, lift up. Stay to exhale, press into every toenail. You might feel the kneecaps lift, quadriceps engaged. And now keep your chest up, lower the hands, elbows over the wrists. Either stick with baby cobra today or come to upward facing. Thighs lift in up dog, deep breath in. Downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Take a long inhale here. Stay as you exhale. One more inhale, push back. End of your exhale, feet to your hands, step or take a little hop forward. Lengthen at the top, heart forward, shoulders back. Exhale, fold in. Press up to stand, root to rise, reach your arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samastihiti, stand up a little taller. Rest your arms down by your sides. So if you have yoga blocks, grab your blocks. If not, don't worry about it, but if you do, You're going to grab them and place them in front of you, shoulder width apart on the highest height. If you don't have blocks and you have a book that's about the same height or something, you could use that. So we're going to take just 2 Sundays today, but working with the blocks if you have them. The blocks are there to catch your shoulders, elbow height in chaturanga. That's the low push-up position. This is so that our shoulders don't go lower than elbow height, because when our shoulders go elbow lower, they internally rotate, they cave in. It's an unsafe position for the shoulder. It puts a lot of pressure on the pec muscles. And you can do this pose with knees up or down. And if after this class you're like, I really need help with my chaturanga, I do have a short instructional video on chaturanga. I would go ahead and watch that to go over the different ways to practice it. So you'll stand with your feet a little behind the blocks, big toes touch, little space between the heels, or feet hip width apart. Press down through your feet, reach the crown of your head up. Soften your gaze, come back to your breath. Root down through your feet as you exhale. Reach the crown of your head up as you inhale. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, maybe a little bend in the knees. Inhale, chest forward, slide the shoulders back. Plant your hands beside your feet and behind the blocks. And now keep your chest forward. You might have to bend your knees, step your left leg back. Right leg back plank. Pause. Make sure you're in a plank with your shoulders slightly past your wrist, but you're on the big toe mounds, not the tippy toes. Feel free to do this with knees down. Take a breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Can you tap the blocks? Slide your toes back. Inhale, upward facing. Make sure shoulders are over the wrist. Exhale, downward facing, hips up and back. And now 5 breaths here. Always make sure hands are shoulder width apart, wrist creases parallel to the top of the mat. Press into your thumb and index finger especially. Spin your inner arms forward and wrap your outer upper arms back and in. Relax the head and neck, the eyes, the jaw. Come back to that smooth and steady breath here. In and out of your nose. One more inhale, push back. End of your exhale, step or hop, feet to your hands. Inhale, heart forward at the top. Exhale, fold. Press up to stand, root to rise, reach up. And exhale, arms by your sides. One more Sunday like that. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, chest forward, slide your shoulders back. Plant your hands, fingers in line with toes when possible. Bend your knees if you need to. Step your right leg back, left leg back, plank. Shoulders an inch past the wrist, but big toe mounds plugging into the ground, not the tippy toes. Take a breath in. You can do this with knees up or down. Exhale, lower. Pin the elbows in. Try to tap the blocks. Inhale, upward facing. Thigh bones lift. Shoulders draw back. Exhale, downward facing, hips up and back. Take a full breath in, full breath out. Relax your head and neck. Press your chest towards your thighs, and do that as you draw the front ribs in. With your next inhale, raise your right leg up. Exhale, tap your knee towards your right upper arm. Try to get above the elbow. Inhale, send your leg up and back, 3-legged. Exhale, bring your knee in towards your nose. Lift it as high as you can and step your foot forward. Get your toes in line with your fingers. Spin the back heel down. Line up your front heel with your back arch. Climb your right forearm on your thigh and raise your left arm up. Look down at your front knee. Make sure it's over your ankle and in line with the second toe. Try pressing into the pinky side of your back foot. Feel how that helps to straighten your back leg. And then wrap your top arm behind you. Take a half bind. Roll the left shoulder, the left ribs back. Use your inhales to get longer from the crown of your head to your back foot. Use your exhales to spin your top ribs back, bottom ribs forward. Keep drawing the shoulders back. Soften the front ribs in. One more cycle, a breath. And then raise your top arm up. Use the strength of your legs. Come all the way up. Straighten your front leg. Tip up and back. Reverse the triangle just because it feels nice to give the front leg a little break. And now bring your arms out wide to a T. Firm your back hip in towards the midline. Take an inhale. Keep that as you bend your front knee, warrior two. So as you bend your front leg in warrior two, your hips just came forward with you. Notice if they tilted forward with you. That means you need to engage your left outer hip more. Cut it in towards the midline. Ground through your front heel to lift the front hip off your thigh. Can you feel that your pelvis is upright? And then feel how your chest naturally stacks over your hips. You don't need to move the upper body at all. Soften your eyes over the right fingers. Steady the breath. Press into your outer back foot. Stamp down through your right heel. Keep the bend in your front leg. Flip your front palm. Reverse the warrior. Tip up and back. Exhale, lower your hands to the mat. Come to the ball of your back foot, runner's lunge. Wrap your right hip back and in towards the left heel. That'll stabilize the front knee. Push your left thigh up. And now option to bring your hands to blocks, but make them very light. Your chest stays low. Option to bring hands to heart center or reach your arms forward. Chest stays low. Hover over your front thigh. Ground through the front heel. Wrap your right hip back and in. Push your left thigh up. Get longer from the crown of your head to your back heel. Last inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step to your plank. Come through your vinyasa. If you have the blocks, try using them in chaturanga, whether your knees are up or down. And if it feels odd, that's just good information for you. Even after practicing yoga, doing multiple teacher trainings, I still at times go back to the blocks, check in with my chaturanga. When practiced safely, it can strengthen your entire practice. When practiced in a not so safe way, it can eventually lead to injury. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, tap your knee to your left upper arm. Try to get above the elbow. Inhale, send it up and back. Exhale, knee to your nose, lift and lift. Step your left foot forward. Toes in line with fingers. Spin the back heel down. Line up your front heel with your back arch. Climb your left forearm on your thigh. And raise your right arm up, side angle. Look down at your front knee. Is it over your ankle? Is it over the center of the foot? Firm your left hip in and under towards the wall you're facing. Do that as you straighten the back leg. Wrap your right arm behind you. Take a half bind. Every inhale, heart forward, press into your right heel. Every exhale, can you twist open? Find this nice open twist, turning your chest towards the long edge of your mat. Stay for another cycle of breath. Get planted through your feet, especially the back one. Inhale, right arm up. Come all the way to stand. Straighten your front leg. Reverse the triangle, tip up and back. Bring your arms out wide to a T. Firm your back hip in towards the midline. Take an inhale. Exhale, bend your front knee. Warrior two. Ground through your front heel. Root down and then try to lift your front hip up and off your thigh. Firm your right outer hip in. Bring just as much energy to your back leg as there is the front. Straighten the back leg. Do that as you lengthen the tailbone down, so we're not in a back bend. Steady the breath. Soften your eyes. Keep the bend in the front leg. Flip your front palm, tip up and back. Reverse the warrior. Exhale, hands to the mat. Come to the ball of your back foot. Runner's lunge. Firm this left hip back and in towards the right heel. That keeps the knee over the center of the foot. Push the right thigh up. And then keeping the chest low, maybe you bring hands to blocks. Maybe hands to heart center. Maybe arms forward. Do it make sense for your body? If there's pain in the low back, keep hands down. I know it's a lot in the legs. Ground through the front heel. Firm the left hip back and in. Right thigh up. Last inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step to your plank, Vinyasa, or come straight to downward facing. Take a deep breath in. Gentle breath out. One more inhale, push back. End of your exhale, step or hop. Feet to your hands. Lengthen at the top. Exhale, folds. Press up to stand, root to rise, reach up. And exhale, hands by your sides, Tadasana. If you're over the blocks, feel free to move them to the side. If you find that they're helpful, I say keep working with them. Find your mountain pose. Let's take one sun B, moving with the breath, thinking less, feeling more. Inhale, bend your knees, raise your arms, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, rock forward, heart forward. Plant your hands, either step to plank or hop to bent elbows, Chaturanga. Always land with elbows bent. Do not hop to plank. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. From your downward facing, step your right foot forward, spin your back heel down, be heel to heel or wider. Rise up, warrior one. Bend your front leg, push the left thigh back. Reach up, lift up and out of your legs, maybe look up, touch palms. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step to your plank, come through your vinyasa, even if you're not using the blocks. Imagine they're still there. From downward facing, step your left foot forward, spin the back heel down, be heel to heel or wider. Rise up, Virabhadrasana 1, bend the front leg, push the right thigh back, lift the belly, lift the heart, maybe lift the gaze, touch palms. Exhale, hands to the mat, come through your vinyasa. Full breath in, gentle breath out. Relax the head and neck. One more inhale. As you exhale, drop to your knees, point your toes, child's pose. With your arms back by your sides, perhaps give the shoulders a little break. If it's more comfortable to sit up onto your shins or to lay on your back, you can go ahead and do that. Allow the eyes to soften or to close. We're just here for about 5 breaths. If your breath got short or shallow, as mine did, can you slow it down? Feel that sense of release as you exhale. Every exhale, maybe your shoulders relax a little bit. Maybe the jaw softens. Every inhale, that sense of expanding. Taking in just what you need to feel nourished, to feel balanced. And take about 2 more breaths here in your child's pose or wherever you are. Enjoying the stillness because the movement always comes back in. On the next breath or so, crawl your hands forward and we'll meet back in downward facing. Take a long breath in. On an open mouth, exhale. So we've got one last standing piece to go, linking a few things together. So similar, but adding on. Inhale, raise the right leg up. Exhale, tap your knee as close to the right armpit as you can. Inhale, send it up and back. Exhale, knee to your nose and step your right foot forward. Spin your back heel down and in. Now your choice, either climb the right forearm on the thigh or bring your hand inside your foot to a block or the ground. And then reach your left arm up. Wrap your left arm behind you for a half bind. Option to stay right here. If the full bind is part of your practice and you want to work on it, go for it. Even if you can't clasp hands, you can just rest your hands. Keep bending the front leg. Make sure your front knee has not buckled in. It's over the center of the foot. Send your heart forward a little more as you breathe in. Spin your top ribs back as you breathe out. Stay anchored through your outer back foot. Stay for one more cycle of breath. Release the bind. Reach your top arm up. Come all the way to stand. Reverse the triangle. Straighten the front leg. Tip up and back. Keep your legs straight, bring your arms out wide. Lift your knees, your thigh bones up. Reach your right arm forward, forward. Right hand either to a block outside your shin or rest your hand lightly on the shin. Press into the right big toe mound, wrap your right hip back and in towards the left heel. Push the left thigh back. Try to spin your top ribs back, stay in that beautiful open rotation. Take another inhale. Exhale, top hand to your hip, turn your gaze to the floor, get steady. Bend your front leg, Walk your right hand forward, maybe bring the block. Half moon, stand on your front leg, float your back foot off the mat. Press into all four corners of the standing foot, especially the big toe mound. We tend to fall to the outer edge of the foot, at least I do. Hug the right hip in. Maybe reach your top arm up, get longer in every direction. Take up more space, not less. Last breath in. Now bend your standing leg. How slowly can you step back? Warrior two, slow motion. Stay as you exhale. Ground through your feet. Keep the bend. Reverse your warrior. Tip up and back. Exhale, hands to the mat. Come to the ball of your back foot, runner's lunge. So we're coming towards warrior three. Option, bring your hands to blocks. Option, you could also do hands to heart center. You could reach arms forward or start with one and then switch it up. Take an inhale, keep your gaze steady. Exhale, stand on your right leg. Float your back foot off the mat. And now the difference between this pose and the last one is that now we're trying to rotate that left outer hip down. Square the hips to the mat. Lift your front ribs away from the floor. Lift up and out of your standing leg. Maybe reach arms forward. One more inhale. Now can you stand all the way up on your right leg, bring your left knee to your chest, lift it as high as you can, and then eagle wrap, left leg over the right. You could rest toes on the ground, do a half or full bind. Eagle wrap, left arm over the right arm, under the right arm, or give yourself a hug. Squeeze your legs together, go down and back with your hips, go up with your heart. Relax the jaw. Last breath in, and then exhale, release. All right, stand with your feet about a little wider than hip width apart. Turn your toes out. Move your blocks to the side if they're in your way, and then come to your squat with your heels down. You could, of course, sit up onto a block here, but you go only as low as you can as keeping the heels down. So maybe it's a more active squat. Now, if you're lower, try to bring your arms inside your legs. Drop the weight into your heels and your hips. Lengthen the spine, lift the chest. And then start to hug your legs in. Squeeze your outer upper arms with your inner thighs, engaging the adductors. Just like we did in eagle pose, inner thighs hug in. Option to stay here, or if you'd like, feel free to watch and then try on your own or try it with me. Plant your hands about a foot in front of you, shoulder width apart, so not too close. Lift your heels, come high on your toes. Get your knees as high up on your arms as you can, as close to the armpits. I'm gonna look forward, not down, because I wanna go forward. Now I rock so far forward that elbows come over your wrist. It's further forward than my mind wants me to do, but I'm not gonna listen to my mind. Use your fingertips, grip the mat, maybe knuckles lift, and then try to lift either 1 foot at a time or 2 feet off the ground. Heels to hips, chest forward. If you can hold crow pose, think about throwing your heart forward. Hop, 2 bent elbows, chaturanga. Don't think too long about it, because then it never happens. Meet me in downward facing. If you'd like a vinyasa, take it. Otherwise, step straight back. Full breath in. Full breath out. Wow, my right leg is tired. Let's even it out. We've got one more side. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, tap your knee as close to your left armpit as you can. Inhale, send it up and back. Exhale, knee to your nose. Step your left foot forward, spin the back heel down. Left hand comes inside your foot, maybe on a block, or the left forearm to the thigh. Reach your right arm up. And then wrap your right arm behind you, half bound side angle. You could stay right here. If you want to work on your full bind, go for it. Sometimes we have to lean forward first to get into the bind, but then can you lean your chest back as your left outer hip firms in? Press into your outer back foot, straighten the back leg. Use your inhales to get longer from the crown of your head to your back heel. Use your exhales to spin your top ribs back, bottom ribs forward. One more breath. Stay planted through your feet. Reach your right arm up, reverse the triangle. Straighten the front leg, tip up and back. Bring your arms out wide to a T. Lift your knees, your thigh bones up. Reach your left arm forward as your hips go back. Left hand to a block or lightly against the shin. Press down through the left big toe mound. Wrap your left hip back and in towards the right heel. Do that as you push the right thigh back. Spin your top ribs back, bottom ribs forward. And now bring your top hand to your hip. Turn your gaze to the floor, get steady. As you bend your front knee, track it over the second toe. Walk your left hand forward and then launch forward, half moon. You can have a little bend in the standing leg. Try to straighten the right leg. Push the right heel back, send the heart forward. Press into the left big toe mound. I almost fell to the outer edge of my foot. Maybe right arm lifts. One more breath. Bend your standing leg. How slowly can you step back? Warrior two. Take a moment, settle in. Keep the bend in your front leg. Reverse the warrior, tip up and back. Exhale, hands to the mat. Come to the ball of your back foot. I know this leg is tired, this front leg, I'm feeling it too, just a little more. So we're coming towards warrior three. Maybe decide to bring your hands to blocks. I like to at least start there and then add on. You could also do hands to heart center or even start with your arms forward. Keep your eyes steady. Inhale, stand up on your left leg, float your back foot off the mat. Press into the left big toe mound and the heel. Spin the right outer hip down, inner thigh up. I could place a teacup on the low back. And then send your heart forward, lift the low belly. Maybe raise the hands. Another breath. Come all the way to stand on your left leg, right knee to the chest. Find your balance. Take an inhale. Eagle wrap, right leg over left. Right arm under left. You could rest toes on the ground or a block. You could take a half or a full bind. Squeeze your inner thighs together. It's almost like you're trying not to pee. That's really the only way I can describe it. Lift your elbows, which I do not encourage you to do. Another breath in. And then let it go. Shake it out. All right, stand with your feet a little bit wider than hip bone apart. Turn your toes out and come into your squat. So you only go as low as you can while keeping your heels down. So that might be higher for you. You might be sitting up onto a block. Now, if you want to work on crow pose and you feel like it's your mind that's stopping you, place something like a pillow. I've got this one right here in front of you, a blanket, anything at all that will help. You could also hold malasana. This is actually a much more useful pose that we actually need to be able to do in daily life. But crow pose is fun, builds up your body strength, and it helps you learn all these other arm balances later on. If you'd like, plant your hands a foot in front of you, shoulder width apart. Lift your heels, get your knees as high up on your arms as you can. Look forward, start to bend your elbows. Get elbows over the wrists. Once your elbows rock forward, then try to lift 1 or 2 feet off the floor. Use your fingertips, knuckles lift, grip the mat with your fingers, and then think heart forward, legs go back. Maybe land in chaturanga. Come through your vinyasa, and we'll meet in downward facing. Take a long breath in, and long breath out. And then let that go. Look back at your feet. Make sure they're hip width apart. And walk your hands to the back of the mat. Once you arrive, interlace fingers behind the low back. You might take a little bend in the knees. Take a breath in. Exhale, send your knuckles up and over any amount. If this is too strong on the shoulders, keep your hands at your low back, but work on squeezing the elbows in. If you feel this in the low back, keep a bend in your knees. Another breath in. All you're going to do as you exhale is bring your hands back to your low back. Switch the interlace, opposite thumb on top. Inhale, send your knuckles up and over any amount. If you're able to straighten your legs, lift the thigh bones up. Try to get a little more weight forward, hips over your heels. Last breath in. Exhale, release your hands. Crawl forward, downward facing dog. Take a long breath in. As you exhale, drop to your knees. Swing your feet off to one side and come to lay all the way down on your back. Bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. Cross your right ankle past the left knee, figure 4. Get the bony part of your ankle past your knee and flex your right toes. Really pull the pinky side of the foot back. You could stay right here. I like to use my right hand to press that right thigh forward. Or draw the legs in towards the chest, thread your hands behind the left thigh. Try to draw the left knee straight back towards the left shoulder. It usually kind of sways to the middle of the chest. Press the right knee and thigh forward. And soften your eyes, relax the jaw and the shoulders. To deepen the stretch, very slightly lift the low back away from the floor if it flattened, so that we're keeping the natural curve of the spine here, not flattening the low back to the mat. And also press the right thigh forward. Final breath in. Place your left foot down if it was raised, and then slide the right thigh over the left thigh so it looks almost more like those eagle legs. Bring your arms out wide. Shift your hips a little bit to the right, then drop your knees to the left, coming into a twist. And your gaze could stay up or go over that right arm. Allow the eyes to soften or close so that there's less outside distractions. We just did lots of movement using our physical body. And know that the movement most likely will come back in after class, so embrace a little bit of stillness or just a little bit of slowing down. Knowing that we need both in order to be balanced. Also knowing that we will probably never be perfectly balanced, but at least able to feel a little more comfortable throughout our daily life. Come back through center. Uncross your legs, find the midline of your mat. Cross the left ankle past the right knee. Get the bony part of your ankle past your knee and flex your toes, pull the pinky side of your foot back. You could stay here, maybe use your left hand to press the left thigh forward, or draw your legs into your chest, threading your hands behind the right thigh. Draw the right knee straight back towards the right shoulder. Press the left knee and thigh forward. Notice if your low back flattened to the mat, can you very slightly lift it away from the floor? It's a very small, subtle movement. Another breath in. As you exhale, place the right foot down if it was raised. Slide the left knee and thigh all the way over the right. Bring your arms out wide. Shift your hips off to the left and drop your knees to the right. Maybe your gaze goes over the left arm. Let the eyes soften or close. As you inhale, come back towards center. Uncross your legs. Find the midline of your mat. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze, a little rock left and right. And then place your feet on the floor. So today's Shavasana will be short, only a couple of minutes. Either take a traditional Shavasana with your legs and your arms out to the side, or if you'd like to take the pose that we started with, one more hip opener. I encourage you to use blocks if you're taking that Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of feet together, knees wide, because when we hold it for a couple of minutes, it can start to feel like a lot on the inner thighs, and I'd like you to be in a shape where you can mostly relax, so you're not putting in too much effort. So if you're one of those people that always wants the most intense stretch, maybe you don't take this, or only take it if you know you can relax in it. And rest your arms in whatever way is comfortable. Out to the side with palms up is a bit more opening. Palms down is more grounding. Close or soften the eyes. Feel the eyebrows spread apart. Relax the jaw, the throat, the tongue. And for the next few moments, you may start to imagine the breath moving down into the low belly, all the way down into the pelvic bowl. Imagine the breath circulating around the hips, the low back, the pelvis. Sending the breath downward and the energy downward to where our root chakra resides. This ability to feel grounded and nourished and safe in our bodies and home. Connecting with that part of the body by feeling the rise and the fall of the breath, feeling what's happening, rather than thinking or judging about it. Begin to deepen your breath. Invite small, gentle movements back into the body, wiggling fingers and toes. Bend your knees, place your feet on the ground, and very slowly roll onto one side of your body. Using your hands to prop yourself up, we'll meet in a seated posture with our eyes closed or the gaze soft. Keeping the length in your spine, the lift in your heart. Inhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. And exhale, lower the chin. Surrender towards heart center, to the quiet that can be found within. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.